So with those first words, we want to stay on the topic of Israel because, of course, we already heard it from Matthias and Nidal. It is on our minds and on our hearts. Here at Axel Springer, we are very firm on the statement never again, not being words, but something we live every day, and that there's no place for yes buts in this discussion. And we already heard that we want to learn more about the situation in Israel. So Julian, you will have the chance now to talk to Tomi, who is there and lives through this current crisis.
Yes, thank you, Nele. Thank you very much. And thank you, Tomi, for taking the time and sharing your current view with us. Maybe for those of you who are not that familiar with Yad Stein, Yad Stein is now for a decade already part of Axel Springer, and Yad Stein is a leading general classifieds and real estate classifieds platform in Israel with a great market share and, even more important, with a great team. Tomi joined us in March 2003, so is now for 8 months with Axel Springer and with Yad Stein. And Tomi, when we talked this morning, you mentioned two things, and after I thought about it, I couldn't really match them. So on the one hand side, you said the last time you've been to the bomb shelter was last night. And on the other hand, you said traffic again is normalizing, and that's for you, in a way, a good sign for normalization of life. So how does that fit together? Can you give us an idea on how life today in Tel Aviv, in Yad Stein with your family looks like?
Okay, first, again, thank you for having me. And I think it's very important that everybody in the company can hear from us on the ground. And in general, I just want to say thank you again for all the support and really the stance that the company has took in favor of Israel. As Matthias mentioned, for us, it's a very clear case of a terror attack on Israel, a democracy, maybe not a perfect democracy, fighting against a terror organization. And I really appreciate everything that you have been doing to support us. Now, to answer your question, it's a very complicated life, I would say, in Israel in general. And this is not the first time that we have a war, unfortunately, in the country. What has changed was the scale and the brutality of the attacks on October 7th. And really, we did not see it coming. And it made everybody feel just horror. I mean, there is no other word to describe it. We felt helpless. We didn't know what was going on. We were unsure whether the attack is going to happen only in the south, whether we're going to have a second front in the north from Hezbollah. The number of dead was rising every day. Every day we discovered there's another 100 or 200 people that were murdered. The stories, I'm sure everybody heard them before, but they're horrific. I mean, we didn't imagine that such actions are even impossible in the 21st century. And we have also 241 people kidnapped. So complete shock, complete horror. People reacted very differently to the situation. You know, psychologically, they say you can either fight, flight, or freeze. So we've seen that in Israel. We've seen certain people that immediately wanted to get back to work and to do something, myself included. You see others that were just stuck in front of the TV and next to the shelter, and others that actually left the country. So, you know, some people just took a plane and went to Europe or to the United States, thinking you'll be safer there. Unfortunately, discovering that there is no safe place for Jews right now. So that was the beginning. I would say very quickly we, you know, as people, we managed to come together, help each other, and move to a more of, I would say, an offensive mode of operation, where we realized that we have 3 fronts that we have to fight right now. One is the military front in Gaza. The second one is I would say, the international PR. And the third one is the economy, because the economy was hit very bad. I can tell you in Yad Shtaim, we've seen our numbers drop in the first week by 85%. So there's zero demand. Nobody was looking for apartments. Nobody was looking to buy vehicles. There was just no activity. The streets were empty. And we felt that it was our responsibility to quickly kind of bounce the economy back to where it should be. And that brings me back to what I mentioned in the morning, where, yes, on the one hand, we have alarms. We have rockets. Just last night, there were a few rockets shot at Israel, and this happens every day. Maybe not all the regions, but every day we have a few dozen rockets at us. And I think a couple hours ago, a police officer was stabbed in Jerusalem. So there's a lot of bad things happening. But on the other hand, we understand as people that if we don't take care of the economy, nobody will take care of the economy. So yes, I was very happy to see this morning that there was traffic jams like before the war. I'm happy to see that some of our customers are coming back. I'm happy to see the numbers bouncing, our revenues. And we know that if we'll continue this way, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Thank you, Tomi. I mean, you've been with the army, you've been part of the Israeli tech scene for many, many years. How do you explain that 50 years after Yom Kippur, when everybody in Israel was convinced that Egypt will not attack, such a misconception could happen again today with all the tech means that your army and your other services around the country have? And it was obviously, from my point of outside view, always part of the pride also of Israel and pride of the government in a way to really protect your country, protect your people. What's the best explanation from your point of view that this has happened again?
First, I think this is the big question that is going to be researched, investigated. There's going to be a lot of committees once this war is over. And I can only imagine that, when they find the reasons, we'll find that the prime minister will have to resign, the head of the military, the head of the intelligence services. I think there's going to be a lot of resignations coming in Israel, because this is definitely should not have happened. And from the information I have, again, not complete information, this was another case of misconception. We told ourselves after the Yom Kippur War, where in 1973, maybe a lot of people in the audience were not born even then, there were a lot of signs that the Egyptians are going to attack us, and the Syrians, and there's a lot of intelligence. Yet there was a conception, which was a misconception, that it will not happen, that they can't do it, that they will not do it. And the same happened to us 50 years ago. The same flawed processes and mindset happened again to us. And I think the lesson here is something that can be applied to business also, where all of us are drowning in information. We're seeing data every day, we're seeing trends every day, and yet we miss the signs. And I know the second part of this conversation is going to be about AI. I'm not sure how many people in this room heard about ChatGPT before last year and realized what a huge shift it could do to our business, the industries, etc., and how it can hurt us if we don't understand it. And the same happened to Israel. So I think it will be learned. I think there's definitely a big problem. But the conversation right now in Israel is that as you fight, you don't investigate. We want to first win the war, and then we will find the time to sit and find who's to blame and why, etc. But right now we have one mission, and that mission is to make sure that we get the hostages back, and that we eliminate Hamas from the Gaza Strip altogether, and bring back the safety to the citizens. That's our obligation as a democratic country.
Thank you, Tomi. I mean, as Matthias and Nidal mentioned before, Axel Springer very clearly stands with and by Israel, and I think nobody is as outspoken in the German media landscape as our great colleagues from Bild and Welt. So, but if there's anything else where we can help you, your teams, just reach out and let us know. I know we are far away, but just to let you know, we will all support you. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For the last chance now, here in the room, we have a question.
American working in this house, I feel that it's really important to consider that this is a war about religion, unfortunately. And it's not just Hamas, it's Iran, it's Turkey. There's like huge movements of anti-Semitism and Islamistic movements. And I feel the Germans are really uncomfortable talking about religion. But for every Jew I talk with, even for the secular Jews, like I speak with Michael Wolfson and so on, it's really a religious war, and it has something.
I beg to differ, if I may.
Okay.
I get your point. It's a war of religion. I beg to differ. I think some terrorists have hijacked religion in order to achieve their goals. It's about a societal model. It's an idea of how we live together. And it is, for example, about the separation of religion and state. And that is what some people want to change. And I think that is at stake. It's not this religion or that religion.
Yeah, and maybe to add one point, Johanna, this conversation, and we have to be very nuanced and mindful here. Katie has addressed this earlier about some people who may have a very clear stance and might feel alienated right now, although they condemn Hamas and they think it's horrific and they fight, as we said in the Essentials, for the right of existence of the Jewish state. We have to be very mindful that it's not like a backlash, that now everyone who is of the Muslim religion all of a sudden is under the impression, oh, that person might be dangerous or that person might be anti-Semitic. So I want to encourage all of us to also be mindful that our conversations, if we don't have them in a nuanced way, and I'm very grateful for you that you addressed this because you're making visible attention that we're already sensing. We have to be mindful also in the sense of inclusion that not everyone who is Muslim and who has nothing to do with any type of extremism is suddenly in a corner of having to defend themselves.
To add a concrete idea, perhaps we can have a kind of para-religious initiative where representatives of various religions express their discontent with what is happening. That would send a very clear message.
Would you be interested
from
to be a part
Christians,
of
from
that?
Jews, from Muslims, speaking up and saying this is unacceptable?
For sure, absolutely. I'm worried also about the political left in the USA and all that, because I really feel there's a great misunderstanding. I think the Palestinians are being used, and it's not about their state.
Exactly.
They're being used, and it's about hijacking all the values we stand for, and the Jews are at this, like, sort of, they're visibly at the center of it, but it's all of our values and our freedom, and I think we do have to speak about fanaticism in religious groups, though, and not shy away from that, like colleagues in Germany have already.
I think we could not agree more. They are used and abused, and we have to speak up against it.
Thank you very much. Are there more questions here in the room right now? No. Okay. If there are more questions on Slido with a name, we will answer them, or the board will answer them later on, and we will publish this. So thank you very much